My name is Andy, and this is the most magical podcast on earth. When I'm not on holiday at Walt Disney World, I'm planning a holiday to Disney. And when I'm not planning a holiday to Disney, I'm talking about Disney, with other UK fans like me who make the trip to Orlando and the House of the Mouse. So whether you're a parks professional or a Florida first-timer, this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be chatting to other Disney superfans to share memories of their magical times, answering your Walt Disney World questions, getting you all the latest news from the parks, and finding out what's happening right now in Orlando. So get your ears on as we take you to the most magical place on earth. This is the most magical podcast on earth as part of the Secret Recordings Network travel blog. Jamie is on the podcast. He's just come back from 20-odd days at Disney World, including a night at the Halloween party and a trip on Disney's new ship, The Wish. I say new ship, there's going to be a newer ship. So we'll chat to Jamie. We'll talk about the new ship very soon. And of course, here to answer your questions. Make sure you do follow us on socials. Facebook, Instagram, X, Reels, TikTok, at PodMagical is where we are. Shelley wants to know, it's a good question this actually, if we intend to go to rope drop but oversleep, is it worth not going and just having a lazy morning? That is a very good question. Yes, so I'm supposing, say if you're staying on site and you can get there at 8:30 and you think, oh, we'll get there at 8:30, and then you wake up and you go, oh, we're not going to get there now till like after 9, 9:30. Is it worth it? Do you know what? It still is, because as the morning's going to go on, the park is only going to get busier and busier. So is there ever a really good time when the park is going to be quiet after rope drop? No. And I'm guessing like half an hour after rope drop, the rides are just going to absorb people anyway. So it should still be quiet. There's still going to be quiet attractions. So maybe do those first. Good question, though. If you've got any questions, at PodMagical is where we are. If you'd like to be a podcast guest, maybe you've just come back from a summer at Disney World, give me a shout. Always looking for guests. Let me know. We're going to chat to Jamie now, who's just come back from a very long trip. So he is just back from, let me get this right, 23 days at Disney in Florida, staying at 5 resorts. Correct. And even doing a Disney cruise. Jamie?
Yeah, I know. How greedy am I?
I'm guessing you must like Disney.
Oh, well, I've been going since I was 23 years of age, as soon as I finished my degree. Back in the days when it was £600 for a return flight, accommodation for 2 weeks at one of the all-star resorts, plus your tickets for 2 weeks.
Those were the days. And I bet the pound to dollar was like 2 to 1 as well.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So let's go back then. In fact, tell me about that first trip then, your first trip ever to Walt Disney World. What was that like? What can you remember about the first time you went?
You know what? I don't actually remember a huge amount, and that's probably because I've gone nearly every year since. What I remember more about that period was having just done my degree, and I lived in Paris as a part of my degree in French and Spanish, and I was paid by France Telecom when I lived there, and I had excess cash, which was unheard of. So I thought, I'm just going to go to Disney World because it's a once in a lifetime experience. And people like me don't get to experience that. So I went with a uni friend. And like I said, we had 2 weeks there. It was so cheap back then to do so much.
Yeah.
And what I remember about it more than anything was, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I call it an assault on my senses, meaning that, you're hit from every angle, aren't you, when you're at Walt Disney World? And I didn't expect that at all. Everything fascinated me. Everything was impressive. I just invested and bought into the whole experience and the service and the food. I'd never been to America before, and suddenly I'm getting this world-class service I didn't know existed. And I remember being there thinking, I've got to make the most of this. This is never going to happen to me again. And I finished that holiday and I thought, why do people talk about once-in-a-lifetime experiences? Why can't I have this more? I just saved for it. I can do it again. And then the rest was history.
You just kept going back year after year after year.
Again and again.
They got you hooked. So much so you bought DVC, which is why you went to 5 different resorts on this trip.
Yeah, I bought my first DVC contract 15 years ago. That was for Animal Kingdom Lodge, Jambo House. And since then, we've had a contract for Saratoga Springs. And whatever your thoughts on DVC, I'm not here to change anyone's mind, that's for sure. It has enabled us to spend a lot more time in Disney World and other resorts around the world, actually. Um, and it just helps with the organization, I think, in terms of finances and so on. We never would have been able to spend that long there this year without our DVC. And, we spent other days in different resorts as well that we paid cash for.
Yeah.
Like one of the value resorts, some of the moderate that we hadn't stayed in before. And August is a controversial time of year to travel. I know that. But it's also cheaper and there are fewer people. It worked brilliantly for us. And I know there's a storm brewing, isn't there, tomorrow?
There is, yeah.
We're back just before that. But it's a whole part of the experience. It doesn't matter what time of year you go. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. We went at Christmas, actually, and it was the coldest Christmas they've had on record. It was freezing. And then 3-4 days later, 20 odd degrees Celsius. You just don't know. So I'm all about going in the summer, lower wait times, etc., and drinking a lot of water in the community.
But your other half's a teacher, isn't he, Matthew? So are you
No,
limited to
he's not actually.
Oh, is he not? I thought he was a teacher.
No, I'm the teacher, and
You're the
although
teacher.
I'm coming out of teaching more as from this Friday when we're due back. Actually, I'm going to be focusing more on travel and vlogging. It's going very, very well, and who doesn't want to travel and vlog and get paid for it?
Brilliant.
It's great. So Matthew works in private healthcare, so he doesn't get the holiday time that I get.
So he gets less holiday, but you get a restricted amount of when you can actually go.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Although that's all going to change now that my contract is it's completely different. I won't bore people with the details, but essentially every 3 weeks I'm going to be traveling and vlogging, which is really exciting. Not always with Matthew, unfortunately, but he understands how things are working.
Pays the mortgage. Gotta go with
Exactly.
So let's talk about this trip that you've just come back from then. Where were the 5 resorts you stayed?
Oh gosh, I hope I remember. So we started off in Port Orleans Riverside, and I hadn't been there for about 20 years, so it was fantastic going back. Matthew's never stayed there. We then, so that was 3 nights. We then spent 10 nights at Saratoga Springs using our DVC points. That's our home resort. We then had a very, very cheeky night at Pop Century. There are reasons behind that, but I wanted to compare value, moderate, and deluxe villas on this trip. Yeah. It was really important to me to, get the full experience. And neither of us had stayed at Pop Century before. We then were collected from Pop Century, taken to Port Canaveral for our Disney Wish cruise, which was 3 nights to the Bahamas. We then spent 3 nights at Disney Boardwalk in a studio, and then finally Coronado Springs, which again was brand new to us. So a real range, actually. 5 resorts on a cruise. It was crazy.
So now you've done all these resorts, have you got a particular favourite? When it comes to value for money, which would you say that's the one? I think I know what you're going to say, but well.
Wow, I don't know. I think what you've just said there, you've hit the nail on the head. It's about value for money. I went expecting to be wowed by Boardwalk. Saratoga, we've stayed in many times, so we know what to expect there. And I have to be honest with you, we actually, I think, unanimously agreed that we preferred the moderate resorts in terms of value for money on this trip. We felt in the Boardwalk, you'll be aware of this, the rooms are getting a makeover, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they need it. I'm telling you, they really do need it. And unfortunately, we have one of the old rooms, and the wear and tear is very noticeable. So for value for money, and there's a bit of work going on the Boardwalk at the moment, I don't think it was great value. I've got to be honest with you. Whereas when we went to Port Orleans and Coronado Springs, the landscaping, the scenery, it's absolutely stunning, and I wasn't expecting that. The facilities were far superior to what I was expecting as well. There was more food options than I realized, especially at Coronado Springs, with the Destino Tower and the addition of the Dahlia Lounge and Toledo, and they've even like they've got a bar called the Laguna Bar. It just sits on its own by the lake, and they serve food there. it's just got so much, and it's so beautiful. And the rooms, because they've obviously been modernized more recently, it just felt right for us. It felt like good value, and there was so much choice there. So we were really surprised coming away from this trip thinking, actually, these moderate resorts, they're offering great value. And in August as well, and your listeners, look out for it next year. There were great reductions on prices in August when things are quieter at Walt Disney World. So we got some fantastic deals on those moderate resorts and Pop Century, actually. Really good.
Because schools go back, don't they, mid-August in America? So the last couple of weeks of UK school holidays usually a little bit quieter over there for us.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the state as well. And obviously people are traveling far and wide, aren't they, to get to Walt Disney World. So it's noticeable. I remember being at Saratoga for, I think it was the second weekend we were there. And actually things just calmed down massively. And the resort was nice and calm. The pool was really quiet in the morning and the afternoon, always getting loungers, no lines for food, etc. It was noticeably different. And in the parks, actually, when the most popular rides are going at an hour max during the day for a wait time, I think we're on to a winner with that.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the newest, most popular ones as well. I don't like lining up, got to be honest with you, but if it's 50 minutes to an hour for a fantastic world-class ride, I might be tempted, and I was.
I think we've all got our own time limits on certain attractions, haven't we? Going, well, if it's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it's coming up at 45 minutes. You'd be a fool not to get in that queue. Whereas, would you wait 2 hours for Pirates of the Caribbean? Not that I don't like Pirates of the Caribbean, but you've set limits, haven't you, for certain attractions?
Everyone's got different limits. Everyone's got their favorites, haven't they? We actually took advantage of our time going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party to ride as much as possible at Magic Kingdom. So our Seven Dwarfs ride at wait time was 10 minutes.
Wow. What time of night? What time of the evening was that? I want to talk about the Halloween party in a moment. So what time did you go on Seven Dwarfs?
It was about 7:30. So the event starts officially, doesn't it, at 7, even though you can get there at 4 p.m. But of course, you're there with all the other guests at that point before they get literally slung out of the park. So we waited until everyone had other guests had left, and it was 10 minutes. It was unbelievable. I remember looking at the line saying to Matt, we're going on that now. I don't know if you want to go on it or not, but we're going on it. Just follow me.
Go in on it. What was it posted at? Was it posted at 20 minutes?
No, it's actually right at the start of the event, all the wait times disappeared. Only for, I'd say, half an hour, they all disappeared. So, I mean, having been there many times and I can judge how far a line back is as to how long it's likely to be. Yeah. So on Seven Dwarfs, if you're able to go straight into the area with the diamonds and the carts, the interactive part, we were straight into that, and past that, I knew it was going to be very short. So it was great.
So what else did you manage to get done during Mickey's Not So Scary? Because this year, a lot of the vlogs I've been watching, it looks really busy. Did you find it busy? Did you get stuff done that you wanted to do?
I find we've done that twice now, and what I find, ours was sold out, and that did worry me a little bit. You always worry that they're overselling tickets as well. It feels busy when you're walking around the park itself, because there's so many things happening out and about, and you've got lots of performers and entertainers, haven't you? Lots of people lining up for different sorts of pictures, and then you've got your separate lines for your trick and treat. It feels busy, but I think it's because there are more people just out and about soaking up that fantastic atmosphere rather than rushing to get into line for rides. So the ride wait times were generally very low. We didn't the longest we waited actually was about 30 minutes for and this will not surprise anyone on Halloween, the Haunted Mansion. And of course, it had been down because they were adding elements for Halloween, etc. So people were keen to get back on it. So that was the longest line. But then they've also got entertainments in the line for that as well. So it passed quickly. Everything else, though, I've got to be honest with you, Andrew, was maybe 10, 15 minutes max. So we did every ride we wanted to, including the ones that we couldn't be bothered to wait for in line when we visited previously. So you can get everything you want done there on the Not So Scary Evening. I'm absolutely certain of it.
Worth the price tag, because it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and we chose one of the cheaper nights to go, one that was near the start of the whole series of events. I think for Americans, when they're buying their day passes, it just makes sense to not buy a day pass to Magic Kingdom if you've only got limited time, and just buy the Mickey's Not So Scary ticket and enjoy it from 4 p.m. until midnight with lower wait times from 7. I think that's the best thing to do. If you're coming from the UK, you've probably got your hopper ticket, a week's ticket, or a fortnightly ticket, and you're just going to have to cough up, I'm afraid. But it's worth it. It's great. And I dressed up as well.
What did you dress up as?
The whole pirate thing. I dressed up as a pirate. I was trying to go for something a little bit more understated, perhaps. So
you've also got to be careful about what you're wearing in August, because you don't want to go dressed as Oogie Boogie and sweating the night out. Absolutely. I mean, I have to be honest with you, I'm not used to wearing eyeliner. It's not something I do, and I thought I was dripping black eyeliner everywhere, but I held on to it. But it's a really good point you make there. I've said this to people on different platforms who ask me about it. It's really hot, and so dress according to that. As a pirate, I had like torn off shorts, a stripy t-shirt, and then the bandana and patch and eyeliner, etc. So it wasn't over the top at all. We stayed cool. And then you can wear that again for Pirate Night on the cruise, which we'll talk about soon. But I want to talk about a few more of your favourite Walt Disney World things first. So, as you've done all the attractions, what's your favourite attraction?
Oh, without doubt, it has to be Guardians Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. I just think it has everything. It's classic Disney in terms of some storytelling there, but it's a thrill ride. You've got your backwards launch, the effects are fantastic. Literally, my mouth is like aghast watching what was going on. The rotational element of the ride, it's got airtime, it's got speed. I just think it's absolutely incredible. And I know it's not the fastest roller coaster in the world with big hills. It doesn't need to be. I've done all of that. I've been to Cedar Point. I've been on all the big coasters. I love it. It's so re-rideable. It feels different every time. You've got different soundtracks. I'm a massive fan of that. Yeah. I do love Test Track as well. It's classic, even though with the overlay. I love Living with the Land. We did Behind the Seeds for the first time in 23 years on this visit, which oh my God, I've never geeked out so much in my life about anything. Space Mountain, love it. Tron, bit short, but good fun. Love Pirates, Flight of Passage, Rise of Tower of Terror, Toy Story. Oh God, I can't have one favourite.
Go on.
I can't have one favourite.
Also, talking about not having one favourite, I've been watching this latest vlog series. You ate at a lot of restaurants on this last trip.
You say that, but we actually cancelled quite a few, saying, "Oh, I don't think we can eat as much as this anymore."
We can't do 3 table service in one day. It's ridiculous. What's your favourite? You can have more than one actually on this, because I'm intrigued.
Oh, thank you. Do you know what? I really annoy people when they ask me for my favourite anything. I'm like, I don't have a favourite. I have lots. So look, maybe a bit controversial. We love the Lotus Blossom Cafe, the quick serve at Epcot. It's reasonably priced. They have the best pot stickers, egg rolls, orange chicken. It's amazing. So I'm not sure people would necessarily have expected me to say that. Nope. But in terms of value for money, speed of service, and really, really good food, that's a massive win for us. I would also say there's a few places that we love actually from this, the last number of years. The Yak and Yeti at Animal Kingdom. The portions, holy macaroni, they are huge. And it's reasonably priced, and the food's good. We had some amazing spicy Thai fried noodles there, lettuce cups. It was a massive win for us. We're also fans of the Kona Cafe. If you haven't picked up on it, I'm addicted to pot stickers, and they do a giant pot sticker with a pot sticker skirt.
I saw this. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I've only ever heard of cheese skirts, but never a pot sticker one. And I could eat that all day till the cows come home. Controversial. I'm really sorry. Pizzerizzo. Those little pizzas. They're just absolutely delicious. Comes with a salad, so I feel like I'm being healthy at the same time. And can I also give a shout out to two places we had breakfast. The best breakfasts we had were at Rick's Coronado Springs and the Trattoria Al Forno on the boardwalk. We had the most amazing service, fantastic food, and also not too bad with the pricing. And if I may, I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about food.
I
we
can't
had
tell.
we had amazing tacos at both the Skipper Canteen, that was a starter in Magic Kingdom, and the Frontera Cocina in Disney Springs. And lastly, if you're just getting some quick food from a store, you've got to have a cheeseburger spring roll from Adventureland in Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
I'm really sorry. I've just monopolized about food. Never ask me about food, okay?
Now I'm really hungry. We've got the cruise to talk about, so what we'll do, we'll have a quick break for the news, and we'll be back with Jamie. Back with Jamie in just a moment. After a quick news update, there's actually not a lot to tell you because they've had the big hurricane, obviously, last week. Big storms over in Florida. So thinking of everybody over there who was impacted by that. Also, this coming weekend, in fact, starting today, if you're listening to this podcast on day of release, Destination D23, the big fan event, is happening at Walt Disney World at the Contemporary across the weekend. So maybe we'll get some announcements. A lot of people saying, keep your eye on Zootopia coming to Animal Kingdom. Hope that doesn't happen, but keep your eye on the socials over the next few days. As anything comes, any news comes from Destination D23, we'll update you. And of course, the other big news event today was the launch of Disney's latest cruise ship, the Disney Treasure, which will start sailing next December, not this December, next December, doing 7-night sailings from Port Canaveral. It's the sister ship to the Wish, which we've been talking about Jamie about on this podcast because he's just been on it. So there's a lot of things that are similar to the Wish. One of the big changes is one of the dining rooms. So on the Wish, the dining room is the Frozen Adventure with Arendelle. That's going to flip to Coco. So we'll get Mexican food and music from Coco in that dining room. You'll get 2 shows, actually, because there's 7-night sailings. The Marvel restaurant will still be there. We haven't got a lot of details about what's going on in the theatre. They are getting Beauty and the Beast, which is the same as you'll have seen on the Dream. If you've been on the Disney Dream sailings from the UK over the last few weeks, the Beauty and the Beast show is going on there. There's going to be another new show that's not yet been announced. My money's on Encanto, or maybe Lion King. And also, there's going to be a Jungle Cruise bar that's going to go onto the Disney Wish. And a lot of people were hoping there's going to be an announcement about the Haunted Mansion bar as well. So that's not been mentioned, but still, maybe we'll hang on. There's still more details still to come about the Disney Treasure, the latest cruise ship that was officially announced this week. It goes on sale over the next few days and sailings start December 2024. Any news updates coming from D23 or anything like that, do keep an eye on our socials at PodMagical. Travel blog Jamie is on the podcast. 23 days at Disney World, but then you went on a cruise in the middle of it all.
Because we were staying in Walt Disney World for so long, we thought, well, clearly that gives us a license to try a cruise from Port Canaveral. I've sailed on Disney Magic a couple of times, and oh my goodness, it was phenomenal for all sorts of reasons. And I really wanted to try out the Wish as the current newest ship. Love the Bahamas, of course. It's so relaxing, it's exotic. So it just all came together, really. And we thought, let's do 3 nights. We went for an inside stateroom / cabin. Because those Disney Wish cruises are not cheap. I've got to be honest with you. Quite eye-watering.
Yeah, because you've been on quite a lot of cruises and different cruise lines. How did it compare to other cruises you've done before? Because I was a little bit disappointed with the Disney Wish. I've done the Fantasy, I've done the Dream, I've done the Wonder. The Wish is probably my least favourite of the Disney ships.
Okay, that's really interesting, actually. So, yeah, you're correct. I've done many, many cruises. That's what I'm known for in the UK with my vlogging is cruising. So it's a surprise to people that I've been vlogging about Disney World. The Magic was one of my favorite ever cruises, even though it was a very short cruise, because of the level of service, the fantastic dining rotation, with the crew who were amazing. The food was fantastic. But you know what I loved about Disney Magic, which prompted us to go on Wish? They're adults only. We're adults only travelers. We don't have children. So I was a bit anxious about going on Disney Magic, but I didn't need to be. The adults only areas are absolutely phenomenal on Magic. We're talking, a large portion of a deck dedicated to adults only, with a large pool, the whirlpool tubs, your own bar, as many frosés as you can stomach. And then, of course, they've got separate bars and restaurants. I just couldn't get my head around how fantastic it was. So when I went on Disney Wish, I think we both would say the cabin wasn't as spacious. It doesn't have the 2 bathrooms that you're spoilt for on the original Disney Cruise ships. Although the bathroom's nice, big shower, no problem with that. And also I felt it lacked a little bit of personality and colour in the cabin as well, if I'm honest. The dining, okay, so the food was really good, no doubt about it, as was the service, but wow, those tables are cramped, aren't they?
They really get you in, yeah. Especially, were you sharing with more other couples?
Okay, so look, I don't mean to come across as a diva here, but we thought we were getting our own table because we've always had our own table on Disney. We arrived and they took us to a very large table as well. I think would seat 8, and we said, "Oh, I think you've got the wrong table for us. There's just 2 of us." And they said, "Oh no, you're sharing with family." And I put my foot down and said, "I'm really sorry, but we're just a couple traveling together as adults only, and that's not going to work for us. So if you haven't got any other space, I completely understand. We'll just head to the buffet." But do you know what? Sometimes, and I don't mean to sound antisocial because I'm really not. I promise you, we're always chatting with people when we're away. There are lots of people who recognise us and come up to us, and we have a drink with them, etc. But there are times when you're on holiday and you just want your own space.
Yes.
And we didn't want to share with a family we didn't know and their kids. I'm sure they were lovely, but that's not what we were on holiday for. So they found somewhere else for us, which was great. But the tables are just so cramped, it wouldn't have made much difference.
Yeah, you got somebody pretty much right next to you anyway, even though they're on a different table.
I suppose I'm a little bit disappointed with that. I think, you know how you're designing these things in advance. You know how many passengers you got on board. You know how many tables and chairs you need. And I don't think that was a great engineering feat, to be honest with you. The other thing I would say is I was disappointed about the lack of pools. Now, people will say, well, that's ridiculous. There are 7 children's pools and then there's an adult's pool. I don't call those swimming pools.
No.
I call them plunge pools. They're plunge pools.
Yeah.
So if you've been on Disney Magic and you've enjoyed the whole length of that beautiful pool next to the Cove Cafe, you're going to be disappointed going on to the Wish with what is essentially a very small plunge area at the aft for adults. And it feels cramped. And they have what's called, goodness, is it a bench pool, they call them, don't they? Essentially, you just sit around a very shallow pool. Your feet are dangling in the pool, and there's like a waterfall cascading down the bench itself behind you. I just don't understand that at all. I don't need to sit with my feet in a pool with water cascading down my back. I want to go for a swim.
Yes.
So I found that disappointing, if I'm honest with you. For adults only, it doesn't compare to the Disney Magic, and that's what we were really looking forward to. Those big spaces. I really feel I should say some positives though.
Yeah, go on then. There must be something.
The crew were great. The food was awesome. I loved the Rose bar, which is adults only. How amazing is that bar?
That's beautiful.
With the best views. And do you know what? It's set out, as you'll know, tables for 2, isn't it? All the way along the windows.
Facing the windows.
And I felt then, this is the adults only parts of Disney that I remember and I loved that bar. And I'm a fan of the Star Wars bar. It wasn't actually that busy when we went in there, so it was spacious enough. And the drinks are unique there, aren't they? They're very unique. So look, there are positives as well. And of course we went to Castaway Cay, and who doesn't love Castaway Cay?
That's fantastic. And then we're getting the new lighthouse point next year as well. So
yeah, exciting.
And a new ship, the Treasure, is coming.
You know what? As much as I think it's fantastic, they've got new ships coming out. I think the Treasure is going to. I'm hoping it's not hoping they've learned their mistakes from the Wish is what I'm hoping for the Treasure. But it's also very similar, isn't it, to the Wish in
pretty
some ways?
much. Yeah. So back to Orlando. Did you do anything else outside Disney and the cruise? Did you venture anywhere else while you were over there? Any other places you like to visit when you're in Orlando?
Well, over Christmas, we spent most of our time at Universal then, actually, and we did Icon Park and Fun Spot. Love a bit of Fun Spot, International Drive, that whole area. So we didn't feel that we needed to do that again. We head to SeaWorld on this occasion. I wanted to try out the new Pipeline coaster. I have to say, SeaWorld, it was a big disappointment to us actually that day, which was a real surprise. I hadn't realized they had put the food prices up so much. They're literally trying to push people into buy these packages now, like the all-day dining package, which costs a fair amount of money. We didn't need it because we're just not going to eat that much. I know you say you see me eat a lot. We wouldn't eat that much in a day. You literally need to have 2 or 3 meals in the day to get your money's worth. We just thought we'd pay as we go. Wow, how expensive has it become there? It actually made Disney look like value. It was ridiculous. But the operations on the coasters there were very questionable through the day, and the service was also quite questionable. So that was a one and done for us, I'm afraid, even though they've got some great coasters there. The operations weren't good. So we went there, and I have to be honest with you, we didn't go anywhere else outside of Disney.
You don't need to. Do you do parks every day, or did you take a day or two where you go, no, we're just going to stay in the resort?
Oh, we're terrible. We start off saying, right, we must pace ourselves. Right, let's go for rope drop. And then, it's 2 p.m. Why don't we go to another park now? We can park hop now. Let's do that. Oh, and what about in the evening? We are terrible. And then eventually, of course, it catches up on you. You cannot function like that, folks, for a long bit. And for 3 weeks, there's no way. So we did pace ourselves better eventually and realized this is, we don't have to rush our way through this. Let's take it easier, have some pool time. We've got some amazing resorts we're staying at. Let's make the most of those resorts as well. So after the first few days, we did calm ourselves down, I promise you.
Yeah, we're going to go. Yeah, we'll just do rope drop for a few days, and then later on we'll do fireworks and we'll have and no, you don't. You end up blasting it for about 5 days. And there is always one point in the holiday, just about halfway through, one of us will use the phrase, Mickey has killed me. And we just stay in bed. I can't move. Your perfect day at Walt Disney World, Jamie. You can stay where you want. You can do what you want. Not your only day at Disney World, but on your trip, you go, this has just been my ideal perfect day. Where would you eat? What rides would you go on? Where would you eat? What attractions would you do? Where would you eat?
Well, I'd definitely be on site in a resort. Maybe one of the water villas at Polynesian. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
That'd be lovely.
Or one of the cabins at Wilderness Lodge. I think I'd probably go for one of those. I would have the morning at the park, afternoon at the pool, evening I'd be having a great meal in one of the places I suggested earlier, and I definitely would be having a watermelon margarita from either Joe's on the Boardwalk or Dockside Margaritas at Disney Springs, and then I would finish the evening feeling Disney tired. I'm sure your listeners know what Disney tired means. Mm-hmm. It's when you're on the bus and the lights come on and you think you're going to literally collapse and you get into bed and you are content. Your legs are aching, your feet are aching, but you've got the best memories from the day you've just had and you can't wait to sleep because you're Disney tired. And then you wake up and you do the whole thing again. Not necessarily specific things for my perfect day, but that kind of theme.
I like the vibe. So where are your next trips? Not necessarily Disney. Where are you going for the rest of the year?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I normally cruise. That's what I'm known for and vlogging about cruising. So I've got a lot of cruises coming up. I'm going to be cruising every 3 weeks as from September. So there's a lot coming up and some great ones. So from Southampton, I've got round trips to Ireland and Belgium, for example. But then we've got some further afield trips to Iceland, Greenland, Alaska, California. Gosh, a lot. There's a lot coming, actually. So we haven't actually planned anything for Disney for our next visit. I got to be honest with you, though, having just done 23 days, I think our next Disney visit is likely to be in Anaheim. I'm trying to get Matt to agree to come to Tokyo, but I've not worked my magic on that one yet. I'll have to keep working on it.
Keep working on him.
But we are heading. Yeah, I will. We're heading to California anyway next year, so it might be that Disneyland will be our next visit on Disney property.
And where can we find you? Where can we watch your trip and your cruises?
Oh my goodness, I'm everywhere. Apart from X, oh gosh, I don't like calling it that. Apart from the old Twitter and Instagram and Threads, and I'm on Patreon every time at Travel Blog Jamie. But mainly, you're going to find me on YouTube, where I post all of my vlogs, interact with people a lot there. I'm doing lives as well. So again, youtube.com/Travel Blog Jamie. And you're going to see me around a lot, plus loads of vlogs on the Disney trip I've just had. They have started appearing.
Looking forward to seeing it. And lovely chatting to you. And Jamie, have a magical day.
Yes, and you have a magical day too. Take care, everybody.
If you fancy joining me on the podcast to talk about your love of Walt Disney World, maybe you've been on a recent trip, maybe you've been even longer than Jamie, let me know at PodMagical on the socials. If you're going to be going over the next few weeks, it shouldn't be too bad. Temperature's starting to cool down a little bit. We've got all the fall activities going on. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party running on select nights at Magic Kingdom. Horror nights over at Universal. No, thank you. And, of course, the Food and Wine Festival continues over at Epcot as well, with the Eat to the Beat concert series. And we've got a top tip for this episode. I always like to end on a top tip. This is a very, very quick top tip. Going on Slinky Dog at Hollywood Studios in Toy Story Land, avoid the front seat if possible. Do you know why? Because Slinky Dog has got a massive head. And if you're on the front seat, you can't really see much. There's your top tip for this episode. Do give us a like, give us a follow. If you can give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great as well. Hit that subscribe button. Brand new podcasts fortnightly. So until next time, please stand clear of the doors.